hello, and welcome to Redefining the Significance of You Time for You, by you, because of you. My name is Denise Drinkwalter, and I am a midlife renewal coach supporting women worldwide to lean into and realize the importance of you. This channel aims to provide you, the viewer, with some takeaways that will help you shift, change, reevaluate, and or become more aware of what is possible. We have a variety of guests that are sharing life experiences that have helped them become the incredible human beings that they are today. Every one of us has had that infamous free time sometime in our lives, and hands up if we felt guilty, embarrassed, and or wrong for taking time out for ourselves. We are here to change that and support you to see what is possible when you take the time for you, by you, because of you. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to introduce Dr. Michelle Zive to our show today. She is an inspiring force of nature, a disruptor, a co-creator, and the founder of Representation Rebellion and Louder Girl. She has dedicated her life to empowering women to reclaim their stories, their voices, and step fully into their power. Her journey is nothing short of remarkable. When she was told in her 40s that she'd become invisible by the time she turned 50, she decided to rewrite that narrative, thank heavens. Instead of fading into the background, she boldly pursued and earned her PhD in leadership at the age of 53. Through this transformative experience, she confronted the ageism, sexism, and patriarchy embedded in society and academia, igniting her passion to create change. Her groundbreaking movement, Representation Rebellion, disrupts outdated narratives by amplifying the authentic stories of women. As a disruptor, she challenges societal expectations and empowers women to shed imposter syndrome and societal BS, helping them embrace their true essence. With over 35 years of experience in nutrition and public health, she's impacted thousands of lives through community-focused programs that enhance food security, physical activity, and access to healthy foods. In 2018, she's deepened her understanding of trauma and healing through cultural practices, integrating this wisdom into her work. Through authentic storytelling, Dr. Zive continues to create ripples of transformation, helping women step into community over competition. Yay! Become heroines of their own stories and reclaim their innate power. She is proof that it's never too late to challenge the status quo and make an impact. And we are thrilled to have you here today to share your wisdom and vision. Thank you so much for coming on our show today.
I don't know if I can follow that bio.
That's you.
Well, oh, that's me. Okay. Got it. Yeah, I have to say, sometimes when you write bios, it's the hardest thing to brag about yourself, right? Oh, not even brag, to tell the truth about yourself, right? And so when you were going through it, I was like, yeah, yes, louder, girl. Yeah.
And isn't it incredible how we take what we have done and what we are doing, and even in our own desire to build something that will allow others to step into their power, we almost minimize it at the same time. It's a real, what do you call it? Push me, pull me from Dr. Seuss, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's really grappling. I mean, let's face it, we live in a very polarized society. And whether that means Democratic, Republican, men, women, I mean, all these dichotomies. And the truth of the matter is that we are both feminine and masculine. We're just our society, our status quo is hyper masculine. And so we, as women or people who are in touch with their feminine side, which is about collaboration and love and empathy and all these other things. So it feels awkward and I said brag, which is not the right word. It feels awkward to toot our own horns, but if we don't do it, if we don't do it, who's going to do it? No one's going to come to me and say, Michelle, when did you get your PhD? Do you have a PhD? No one's going to do it. So I'm really, really proud of what I've done. And I want more women to recognize what badasses they are.
Right. Absolutely. Do you find that in particular women struggle with identifying their strengths? Is that something you see very common across?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I just heard an interview with Martha Stewart, and she was asked the question, what do you say to women that are going through imposter syndrome? So the idea of, I'm not worthy, who cares? What do I have to say? I haven't accomplished, blah, 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 blah. She goes, I've never had it. She goes, as a entrepreneur, I just never had it. And I believe her. I believe her. And so she's not for everyone, right? But boy, because I will tell you something, I've had imposter syndrome all my life. And as you've witnessed and as you read, I've done a lot in my life. But I'm building up this representation, rebellion, and louder good girl community. And, I was like 60 when I finally said, I am done with not shining my light. I'm expecting women to step into their power, tell their stories, and shine their light. And if I'm not doing it, how can I ask other women to do it?
Yeah, totally. 100%. You're modeling. And I'm curious, are there times when that is more challenging than not?
Model that? Yeah, for sure. I'm really, but I really feel obligated, again, probably not the right word, but I really do feel like I need to take care of myself first, right? Mm-hmm. So oftentimes we're caretakers, we're mothers, we're, fill in the blank, we're nurturers, we're, and that's the expectation. That is the story we have been told. Oh, don't get too big for your britches, be a nice girl, all these things. So there's a lot of programming that gets done for me, at least, and I hope this is changing in newer generations, but for me, at least, it started at birth, pretty much. The idea that I was born a girl, I was the oldest of 3, and, be nice, be, kind, be, all these other things. Don't be smart. Don't speak up. So it's the first thing you need to do is disrupt the narratives inside yourself. That's the very first thing. It's so fake. If you go out and I say to you, Denise, you know what? You need to blah, 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 blah. And I'm in the meantime, just like a mouthpiece and not doing any of the crap, not doing any of the work. Right. So what I would love is if this message, because I am stepping now into my power, it is, I still have moments. There was a political thing that happened a couple of weeks ago that, kind of flipped me on my head, but sure. I still have moments, but for the most part, I'm really confident about who I am and what I'm doing. And I just want to accelerate that for women. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want people to wait till they're 60 years old, and if midlife is a wonderful time to do this. And I even think a lot of women don't do it. They either sort of go on to the status quo. Oh, I've been a mother, I've been a worker, I've been a blah, blah, blah all my life, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to retire, blah, blah. Or people like us that want to learn and grow and communicate and do all these other things. So it's just a wonderful opportunity. But again, I would love if we raised our daughters this way and our sons. Not, I don't want to downplay the other half of
Absolutely.
the equation. So
Absolutely. I totally 100% agree. And it's funny you said earlier how um, you have to do it. Nobody else can do it for you. I used to say that in the workplace. I'm a former educator after 31 years retired. Well, sort of retired, moved into my next role. But what I used to say to people, because we would meet up every so often, once a month as administrators, and people just looked like they were being dragged through the mud. They just had and I just felt, and I was like, you guys, you got to look after yourself. Nobody else can.
right,
It's your
right,
job.
right,
And
right,
so what we're talking about is do for you, by you, because of you. And that is not egocentric.
right,
And
right.
and that's right. And
Yeah,
isn't that something, I don't know if you're experienced this, but when people, in particular women that I support, well, isn't that being selfish? Isn't that when I look after myself? I can't do that first. I have all
yeah,
these other roles and the caregiver, everything you just talked about. And that's where I come at the angle. Let's develop the identity of you. And once you understand you, then things will start shifting in ways you couldn't even try to imagine. Because
yeah.
when you start looking after you, what I call that sphere of influence changes. Do you notice that? Do you recognize that? You're shaking your head going, yes, bro, I'd love your
Well,
input.
yeah, I just yes, it resonates. I just finished writing a journal.
Mm.
Not writing in a journal, but a journal.
Yes.
It's called Pick Up This Freaking Journal, although it's not doesn't say freaking. Um, going
Gotcha.
from going from what's wrong with me, although it says more than that. So what's wrong with me to being a badass.
Yes.
Um, and it follows the narrative arc. Okay. So and usually an inciting incident. So inciting incident is something that changes your world, that makes you go from this place to this place. So
Okay.
for me, it was my oldest daughter, Molly, had a ruptured appendix in third grade, and it was
Mm.
bad. According to the surgeon, it was bad. It was bad. And it was. She could have easily gotten sepsis.
Huh?
And I was married at the time to my first husband, and I realized that I had taken my eye off what was going on. I was very unhappy. I was doing what society wanted me to do. We looked like the perfect family, right? We had two beautiful, healthy daughters and a house and two cars and gas and food and all these vacations and all these things. But I was like so empty inside.
Mm.
And so when that happened with Molly, I was like, okay, not on my watch anymore. And I divorced my husband and started really finding out what I wanted. And there's a lot of pushback because again, divorce, but he's
Mm.
such a nice guy, and he provides for you, and it's like, yeah, but there's no emotional,
Yeah.
like I said, it was dying. And so I want women to get to the point of changing their lives without a big health crisis, without a divorce, without someone getting really sick. I mean, these inciting incidents, which is usually like people say, "Oh, now I've changed. Now I'll change my life." But
Right.
I want women to your point, to realize what it is that they want. What is their desires?
Right.
Again, women are not asked what we desire, and if we say
Mm-hmm.
what we want, they're like, "Why are you being such a bitch?" I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what
Mm-hmm.
like, keep it to yourself. We don't really care what you have to say. So yeah, so lean into really finding out what makes you tick. And it's just, there's so many cliches about it, but there's the cliches because it's true. If you don't fill yourself up, you're not going to be able to fill anybody else up. If
Yeah.
you're feeling ungrounded and depressed and
Mm-hmm.
drinking too much, shopping too much, or whatever, you're functioning from this part of your brain, right? From the lizard part of the brain, like survival. It's all
Yeah.
about survival. We want everyone to start using their whole entire brain,
Yeah.
the frontal cortex, which is, sort of the rational and thoughtful side of it. And so
Yep.
anyways, yeah, so I totally agree. I agree that it starts with you, but it also is so important to have a community.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Because
totally. I agree.
everything that I've ever done, whether it be storytelling, any kind of women's groups, we tell stories, personal stories, and it's like, wow, I thought I was the only one that was going through that. I thought I was the only one that felt alone in my marriage. I thought I was the only one that was not, sleeping 4 hours a day, a night or whatever. I mean, I thought I was the only, and that's the thing, the status quo, to keep us status quo, wants us to be very quiet because they don't want us disrupting what works for a few.
Yeah. Right.
And not the majority. So as soon as we start telling each other stories, it's like, holy cannoli, this is something that we can do together. And that's the only way we're actually going to transform the world. Right. So transform yourself and heal yourself. And it's a healing journey. So it's not going to end at point B. I'm just telling you, it goes on forever. But to the point where then you can feel confident to share your stories and to get in front of people and to start using your voice, and then combine together. What are we going to do? What are we going to do about really disrupting the systems or the stories, or, how are we going to elevate the community?
Exactly. I love the concept of elevating, because to me, it adds abundance, which I believe we have within all of us, is an abundant nature. It's just been suppressed for so long. Right.
Yeah, I'm curious because that's something that I've been really working with. I've lived a lot of my life in scarcity. Mm-hmm. Probably most of us have. That there isn't enough, because again, that's what society is telling us. There isn't enough. So you're going to have this much birdseed, and you guys need to fight amongst yourselves over it. So, so how do you, in your own life, and then encourage other women? How do you have the mindset of abundance?
Honestly, to be extremely frank with you, I just look at every single day and what is the opportunity that sits in front of me. I get out of bed, I have my health, and what a gift. Thank you so much. I just take the small nugget and just relish in those moments as much as I can. We are blessed, I have to say as well, to have the opportunity to support our family by childcare in the home. So we have a 2-year-old in the house. And if you've ever witnessed watching 2-year-olds, life is wonderful. Like, really. So seeing, the eyes through a child, just brings me back to, this is great. Seriously, come on. Life's too short not to have fun. And so make it simple and doable instead of making, because if I get into too much, I get overwhelmed and I shut down.
Right.
And I'm no good to myself, let alone anybody else. And I've already done that road, and that doesn't feel good. Yeah. So I don't know what tomorrow brings. So let's do today, because that's what I know I have.
That's awesome. I agree with you, and I also know that feeling those kinds of feelings of hopelessness, anger and rage, that's another thing that women are not supposed to do. We're not supposed to be, you're hysterical, you're an angry woman, and so owning those emotions and really going through them and being able to allow other women to invitation, because I know a lot of angry women. In fact, I think middle-aged is, it does two things. It's sort of like, I don't give a flying fornication what anyone thinks about me, but it also is all the stuff that's been stuffed down forever and ever and ever. And it comes out just like vomit, and rage. So I think it's really important that we do something with the rage, whether it, just feeling it, or, journaling or sharing with a friend or something, because it's so important. But I love the idea of a 2-year-old. Buddy is my dog,
Yeah.
my first pet of my very, very own. And he wakes up every day with his tail wagging and jumping up and down. He doesn't know what's going on in politics. He doesn't know what's going on with the economy. He doesn't know what's going on with abundance and scarcity and any of that kind of stuff. And I just went, that's what I need. And the other thing is that I am experiencing my childhood for the first time during these years, which is another gift. I've raised my family. I've semi-retired. I've, all these kinds of things. So I just feel like it's really a time to have fun and be joyful. And also we've been through a lot of stuff, and you have the choice. You can either, and I have done this, and I've had to do this, go into my cave, pull the covers over my head, feel sorry for myself. And then, once I'm filled up again, then I go out again.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Giving yourself permission to have the highs and the lows instead of just buffering it and going, I'm fine. Right? I love the idea that you're talking about community, because I think it is imperative that you, myself, all of those out there who are here to support women through their struggles and their power, that they have a safe community where they can come and can be themselves and learn more about who they really are in a safe environment.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of my good friends, and she's a therapist, actually, she has these nuggets of wisdom, but she said, we're social animals, and we learn about trauma and hurt and pain in relationships. And I'm just using the negative.
Sure.
This positive is true too. We learn about love and community and collaboration and empathy also in relationships. And so it's, unless you go out to an ashram and, silent for, 8 days or 10 days. I knew a woman that did it. And I don't know how she did it, but anyways, but unless you, and which is important too, to really get to know who you are and what really matters, kind of thing. But what I'm saying is, and particularly for women, because we do have, at least we have that permission to share things. Although shame is a big thing that I'm trying to make more women aware of. Trauma and shame, hurt and shame guilty go hand in hand. And so shame keeps you very, very quiet, because you don't want anyone to know that you, were sexually assaulted, or that you are divorced, or that you are bankrupt, or any of these kinds of things. But as soon as women feel safe and they're sharing that, women are going, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Hashtag me too. My thing is that what's next? So I understand, there was the Me Too movement, there was other movements, but I want action. Like, what are we going to do in this community? Yes, we're going to create a safe community filled with stories and empathy and communion and all those other things. But then, now that we have raised our awareness, what are we going to really do about X, Y, and Z?
Right.
And it's even as simple as, you waking up in the morning. If a group of women woke up every single morning and said, you know what, thank you for this day. I have my health, my family's okay, I have money in the bank. Gratitude, the whole gratitude thing. That change in energy will completely change the world. So even that, so it's a consistent thing that is on the daily. And, and these groups need to be consistent. I've seen so many women's groups that have failed. And I have some notion about it, but I think part of it is that there's not we don't make the time. We don't feel like we should make the time. We don't put money into these communities.
Yeah.
Because we're told like, oh, you don't deserve, and I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
spend millions of dollars on, going shopping or, makeup or Botox or any of these other things. Gosh, if you could just, that's the disruption I want to have, but I just don't
I
know
love that.
I don't know how to do that. Yes.
Do you know what? The great thing is we're talking about it and we're pushing it out there. So if this is in your wheelhouse, if you have thoughts and ideas, you need to communicate to Michelle, myself. Let's get some big questions started and some consistency. I'm all about consistency. That is me, right? So I love what you're saying in terms of let's get something started and move it, not just start and then fall off. We're here to make a difference so that the world can be different because we know it can be.
Yes.
So,
yes. It needs to be.
It does for everyone.
For everyone.
Everyone. This is not a self-serving constitutional discussion. It's like it's time. It's definitely time. And now to move the talk into action and how to do that. And so thank you so much for all you are doing every single day. Take those deep breaths and we will continue to have conversation and see how we can continue to support one another on this disruption. Right?
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. And in the show notes, people can find you. You've got all the information in there. I'm very interested to hear more about what's upcoming with the journal you just mentioned. So when it comes out, let me know and I'll pop it in the show notes as well. When
awesome.
It's ready. Okay.
Soon.
Yeah. Perfect. And for those who are not aware, I too have a journal that sits in Amazon for you, by you, because of you. It's a guided journal for empowered women, and it is changing lives. And I love the fact that you can grab it out of Amazon and it's yours for the taking. Once you jump in there, just look for my name. And I wish all of you making sure that you do something for you, by you, because of you. And I say every single day, even if it's only for 30 seconds, even if it's a positive thought, make it happen consistently every day. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and we will stay connected. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Bye.